2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. If you're just getting here, say what's up to everybody. Ann says what's up. She's not online. But we are live. You should be hearing my voice. You should be hearing music. I hope you guys will agree that it seems like the setup is kind of as dialed in as it can be. I know that sometimes the levels are wrong, but there I am. Sweet. Welcome everybody. Let me take care of the music. Cass is in the house. Sweet. Anyway, say hello to everybody when you get in, and I understand. If you can't stay the whole time or do the whole thing, it's cool. You can. Oops, let me lose that donate link there. That is the donate link, and I really do appreciate it, but I don't want to start off with that kind of vibe. Oh, sweet. Amber. Okay, cool. Thanks, Nikki. Thanks, Cassandra, everybody. I really appreciate everybody joining me on all of these. My plan, just to make sure everybody's on the same page, is, hey, Lindsay, is to keep going on Monday nights kind of indefinitely. And then on the Thursday classes and the jams, those will probably tail off after this whole thing ends. But I'm on lockdown. I would want to stay in for me personally anyway, just how I feel about it. So I'm cool doing these, and I really appreciate it. And thank you guys for everybody. It is a great way to start the week. I mean, I want to say something really quick, and I want to make sure I keep these talks really short, but some of you, if you've been doing these with me for a few weeks or from the beginning, you're probably starting to see results. And I think it's good to acknowledge your results. It's not like a prideful thing to acknowledge your progress, because sometimes we lose sight of our progress because we're so caught up on the whole goal. And that kind of brings me, hello, oh sweet, Costa Rica's here, nice. That kind of brings me to the point of tonight's class. Now, I realize when I make a class that is something like flow when no one is watching, that it's possible that you thought that I meant this class was going to be how to learn how to dance with, complete unabandon, or what would it be, unabandonment? And that's not exactly what it is. I kind of literally mean what it is, which is it's the beautiful part of boring hooping, that there is some hooping that is extremely therapeutic and extremely good for the body and extremely enriching, that is nothing that anyone would want to watch, except maybe your mom for a moment. But generally, it's pretty boring stuff. But it is so vital. It is so key. And so some of the exercises that we're going to be doing tonight are ones that I think are good for this feeling. And just so you understand where I'm coming from, hey, sweet, Oregon's in the house. Thanks, everybody, for chiming in. This is awesome. I can't see who enters, but I can see all the comments and stuff like that. I can't see, emojis. And so what I want to do tonight is work on, sweet, definitely see a difference in your shoulder. Nice, Michelle, good. You're going to, gosh, I don't want to cram too much. If you do it hooping, you get better, period. You may not get better as fast as you want or as better in the things that you want to, but generally that happens too, but you get better. And so thanks for joining me on all these, and acknowledge, those achievements that you're making, move on them, but acknowledge them, it's progress. So, shucks, I lost my train of thought on where I was going to go. Tonight's class is about, those boring moments about think of it some things like achievement as a sort of ladder. And it's an easy metaphor, achievement is a ladder. Sometimes we can get caught up on how fast we can get up the ladder or just getting to the top. And these type of classes tonight are about enjoying every rung of the ladder. In fact, maybe enjoying it so much that you just hang out there. Sweet. End of 10-year hooping break. That's great. I'm seeing the messages. I don't know if you guys are. So we're going to go ahead and get going because I don't want to spend too much time talking. Thank you, everybody, for your support. We're going to start off with Sway. Here, do me a favor. If you're watching this this is live right now, but if you're watching this on replay, go get a blindfold. If you're watching it live and you have a blindfold, grab it, but it's okay if you don't have one. I don't really know how to get the word out that you need one, but anything will do, and of course you can just close your eyes. Okay, we'll be checking the comments a little bit. Ann is here with me in the studio audience. She'll be taking the class. She may bounce in and out as a demo for certain exercises that we're doing. Remember, tonight is more of it's an off-the-ladder class. You will get better, okay? I would say that, there's ways that you could be, if you're a rock, you can be shaped with a chisel and a hammer, and you can also be shaped by wind and water moving across you. And tonight is a wind and water class. Okay. Here we go. This playlist, as usual, is complete and will be on the Future Heroes site, the SoundCloud channel immediately after class. Okay. Okay, this is good. All right. Audible breath in. Audible breath in. If you're new to this, I begin every class with about 6 minutes of free-form movement. You can move any way that you would like to move. Some people roll around on the ground, some people stretch. And when people don't know what to do, they sway. And swaying is the gentle movement of your weight from one side to the next. If you have your blindfold, I recommend you try swaying blindfold. The thing is that there's some truth to the ostrich effect. There's some truth to believing that the world goes away when we stick our head in the sand. And that's a bad way to deal with your problems, but it can be a great way to escape all your worry and your busy, hectic mind. So one way to flow as if no one is watching is to not watch. Not even you in the mirror. Not even you on video. But to go blindfolded and to be in the body. I've been thinking a lot about my lungs lately for obvious reasons. Yesterday in my practice, I was able to be outside and I took big breaths in and out, and I kept those breaths with me for as long as I could keep my focus on them. And I found it very, very centering. So I'm going to do it now as a guide, and you can join me or not. Hopefully no one is watching you right now. Audible breath in. conscious breaths as you roll, stretch, sway, and do what you do. Big breath in. We don't usually participate in the cycle of breathing air in and out, but when we consciously participate, it helps us find the rhythm of the body that day, that moment, that hour, that minute. Big breath in. Audible breath in. If you can, keep your breath with you in and out as you move. Sweet. Welcome, everybody. I hope that you are hearing me. Sweet. Okay. All right, so for this next exercise, let me make sure for this next exercise, now this is a little weird. This class is definitely going to be a weird class. But what I want you to do is I want you to imagine that I want you to hold your two hands in front of you, and then I want you to move the two hands or move them back and forth, and I need you to use your imagination just to imagine that there's an energy there. Like you could imagine it could be like a magnetic energy, like one that's oppositional, or I guess you could imagine that it's attracting it, but that you're holding. Good. It doesn't really matter what you do, but what I'd like you to do is to free up, no one's watching you, and to move your hands in a way as if, you're moving a shape, or you're moving it. And the way you're moving, and I don't have to be able to tell what it is, but there's a consciousness to the way that you're moving, that you feel good. One of the things that will keep new movement coming into your life are more and more types of music, and I think more metaphors. By just pretending that I'm holding a ball in my hands, I am moving my spine in very restorative ways that no machine could find, and maybe even no other human being could find but me. I can also imagine that each hand, and you don't have to do this with me, but that each hand is some sort of sphere, that it's, like a contact ball or something like that. And then those spheres could have various types of weight. This is them having very slow, easy upward weight. This would be them having very downward weight. And again, I'm creative writing. I'm rough drafting for new movement, but more importantly, for opening my body in new ways. As I roll my hands, imagining I'm holding orbs, the imagined orientation is opening and unlocking. If someone is watching you take this class, be brave, my friend. Show them what courage looks like. All right. For this next song, we're going to use our hoops, and we're going to work on samurai. Actually, maybe I'll pause just for a second. So if you're new to the class, samurai, I mean, it means a lot of things, but all you really need to think about right now is that samurai just means that you grip the hoop. You don't have to. It means that it's allowed. In HoopPath, we like sort of allow grip, but then every less direct way to hold the hoop is allowed after that. So you could do 2-point in samurai, but samurai is telling you that you're allowed to do it. And samurai, I can move through my range of motion. This is what it looks like when it's like, in flow, samurai. I mean, basically, it's any time you grip the hoop and move it. But what we're going to do tonight is we're going to move in kind of a slow, opening way so that we can feel our body. This samurai movement is a great way to warm up into your session. And I suppose what I should add is that as flow artists and as hoopers, we really don't know how good hooping could be for us. There's no studies on 20 years of hooping yet, or 30 years of hooping. But if you thought of your hoop practice in that way, that like one day there may be some measurable that science can determine that you benefited from working on isolations or from holding the hoop, I can virtually guarantee it. One way that you can look weird but feel great is super slow flow. Super slow flow.
When music sounds and changes though, it's so free to soldier for it. Or will I end this heart?
When I'm in slow flow, and this is really slow flow, I can feel every single tendon, muscle. Samurai allows me to be patient with my movement. Good. In samurai, sometimes it helps to imagine that the hoop itself has maybe more power than you might imagine, and that you could be pulled to it. It could be pushed away from you. The body is made of 2 trees, 2 sides of push. This is me balancing on one of those 2 trees. And this is one of those boring exercises that creates beautiful amounts of belief and shows up in the way you live your life. Long, extended balances. Good. Good. grip strength, samurai, being able to hold the hoop flat. A lot of the stuff that I do when no one's watching is these type of movements. Because my body likes them, and as long as I can get away from worrying about what it looks like, these are hops. Good. What I'm doing right now is I am moving my offhand as I move the hoop. Again, Lee Jeffries sort of took this to a different level. But what it does is again, it may not, when he does it, it's exciting, but it helps me coordinate the movement of one hand with the other hand. Good. I think that this is a good way to see the difference between a skill and a movement, to see the difference between a skill and a movement. Moving your offhand while holding the hoop in your other hand is a skill. I hope that makes sense. And these no one's watching flow days, you can work on that skill, and then when people are watching and you're really feeling it and want to go off, they won't realize it, but they're seeing your work. But more importantly, I think you'll see your work. Sweet, guys, I hope you're doing well, and I hope you're joining with us. Let's see. Okay. I don't think we need to really stop too much for this, but so this is, we're gonna keep moving. So I hope you can, I hope I'm doing an okay job of getting all around. They were kind of moving from like drill to drill, like zen to zen here. And what I'm gonna do is, you can do this any way you want to, but I invite you, especially those of you that, actually, I'll invite you, especially those of you who've done this before, to hold the hoop on your elbows in here, and then just to put a slight bend, because we're going to work on horizontal rolling right now. And you can do that with minimal contact. And when people are watching, it can be a little scary, because you could lose the hoop, you could whap yourself, but when they aren't watching, and this is me moving the hoop back and forth. Oh, thank you for tuning in. I appreciate it. Thank you guys for showing up, telling me where you're from. I really appreciate it. Thanks for sharing, liking, all that stuff. You can subscribe to my YouTube, and I think you'll get an alert that they tell you when I go live. This is me moving to the back of the hands. This is me moving to the back of the hands. Same movement here. Let me get the music going now. So this is what we're going for, and if you've never done this before, I'll show you a little bit. This is horizontal. And to get the hoop so flat, I have to twist the entire core. If you wait tables or bartends or deliver things or have to lift things as part of your job, your back can get just wrecked. I have done all those things, and I can tell you that I think in addition to core hooping, which we're going to be doing, this movement really helps my back. And it's good for me to pull back into it, to, not hunch over it, and fortify the bad posture, but try. Nice. Good.
I can feel the rain upon my skin. It covers everything. Smiles bringing back the memories. The ones locked deep within. I can
So when I'm in this twist motion here, good, I can start to send the hoop all the way up. This is certainly not advanced, but fun to send it all the way up. That's behind the back. And then if I push my hands up, the hoop goes vertical immediately. So I'm here, I'm doing all this, and I push the hoop up, and it goes vertical. It's a great way to learn that vertical transition. So I'm here, I've got the hoop at the corners. I'm doing this exercise because I just love the way my body feels after I do it. I like doing it up on one, but if I push up with my hands, the hoop goes flat. Then once it goes flat, then I can two-point it out there as well, and this is super geeky, but you can stop the hoop. This is super geeky. So I'm doing it, I can stop the hoop by pulling one hand in front. I'll stop the hoop on a horizontal, switch it, and then do the same thing over here. So it sounds a little weird, but this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see what my hands are doing. That's like nerd level dangerous. But as it comes towards the side that's stopping, that hand moves to the outside wall. If I'm sending it to my left hand, my left side, the left hand slips out just for a second and stops it. You can do something very, very similar at the wrist with your thumbs. But this is me. I don't know if you can see what San Francisco, sweet, welcome. Make sure my song's still right. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. Oh. Stop listening. Okay. Because I kind of screwed up that one. Sorry, guys. All right. That was a perfect song, perfect exercise, but it went into the other one. Okay, sweet. Thanks, Carrie. You guys can try that. There is a version, and this is super geeky, but we're not going to stay here, but there is a version where you do this on the inside. I don't know if you can see what I'm doing, but the hoop's not making contact, but I'm doing that same horizontal two-point flip. See how the hoop's not hitting my back, but it's hitting the wall right now. Okay, so here's one exercise that I think is really good for the body. Super boring to watch practice sometimes, but super good for the body, and that's isolations with the hoop. And that's what, when I was hooping today, the song came on, and I was like, oh my gosh, this is just perfect. So isolations don't always have to be like a rolling isolation or whatever, but just moving the hoop, and you really don't need a mirror. Although I'm not opposed to mirrors. I think sometimes people use them too much. But this is an isolation, floating from one hand to the other. I imagine most of you watching this know isolations. But here's what I like to do with them. I like to create a nice, simple circuit. Whichever I'm doing a two-hand, I'm here, The hoop comes up somewhere around here. The hand switches and pushes to there. Most of you know this one. But what I like to do with it, and I did this in my practice yesterday, is just go super deep into extended isolations. Now, if you've, of course, I can't see you or know what you're doing. You could do any other isolation. But what I really recommend, the geek in me, the hoop lover in me, recommends that you do it for a while. Sometimes a while just means 30 seconds. Because what you can start to feel, like in this movement that I'm doing right now, I really feel the upward push of my hand as it rolls between my thumb and my first finger. And I'm noticing that if I feel that, this is back to that same one I was doing. I can also feel that if I twist a little bit more with it, and again, I'm letting myself off the hook by saying all this stuff is boring, but it's super good for you. And it shows up in your technique later. Nice, Ann. If you do have a mirror, you can focus on things like, one thing I recommend if you are doing this, sorry for all these instructions though, is to frame yourself. Sometimes hoopers do this job right here, and I just say go ahead and bring up. Like unless you're working on bringing it up and down, just keep it up. I went to art school, trust me. One thing that you can feel, maybe not everybody, but you actually can feel some of this movement in your night side, where the space behind you. Like I can feel it down in my lower back sometimes, that the twist is kind of originating from my lower back and pushing that hand across the body. These are one-handed isolations, and while we're here, we could try these. Everybody has a technique for this, and any isolation you want to do right now, we're just focused on isolations. But we're focused on how they're going to make us a better human being. We're focused on how they're going to make us feel better after a couple of months of doing them. Good. These are isolations. At any point when I'm isolating the hoop, I can just grab it, put it on a slide, and then start isolating it again. Sometimes it's in these deep conversations with a technique like we're doing that you start to figure out how to maybe isopop it or push the hoop. It is really hard to stay doing the same move for 4.5 minutes. But if you can even make it just 2 minutes of doing the same move, it has a nice organic way leading you into something you really enjoy. These are within the body isolations. Super old school isolation here. This is me outside the body isolating the hoop with samurai. This would be me doing it with point. Again, I'm giving myself 4.5 minutes of isolation. Okay, sweet. So if you, sweet, jumping in for the second half, welcome. If you ever get offended by something that I've said on here, I was probably joking. Sweet, I'm glad y'all thought it was funny though. Okay, so if you have your blindfold, we're gonna pop it on now, and what we're gonna do is I'm gonna give you a song to try blindfolded core hooping to. And do you want to try? Do you want to be the demo for this one? Do you like doing blind? You are.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I don't have a blindfold.
Oh, okay, I'll just do this one then. Okay, so I cannot think, and I know this is like maximum weird when people are around. I do it, I don't care, but maximum weird when people are around, but I just feel like I'm so committed to blindfolded practices. And I go through phases. Like sometimes I've had practices where I wore it pretty much the whole time, and I've definitely had practices where I hardly wore it at all. But I think it's good to expose yourself to it to see if it could help. And in core hooping, I think like feeling for subtleties and things like that, God, there's no better technique for it. So I'm gonna go blindfolded and yell at me if I almost kill the TV or something. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to focus on the path of contact and the rhythm of the song. That's it. We've already bowed into being boring, and all we're gonna do is go deep into the feeling of the hoop on us, and more specifically, how we push through the path of contact to create ritmo on the hoop. Just going around and around and around. And if your mind goes someplace that you don't want it to go, just put it back on the point of contact as it rolls around. You can close your eyes. If you're just in a space you can't do this, or you get dizzy, just close your eyes for a moment. If you know how, reverse. When I'm blindfolded like I am right now, I can really feel my night side awareness. Now you can move the hoop anywhere on your core if you haven't already. You can take it to the shoulders, you can take it to the head. You can open your eyes if you have to. But I want you to warm up your core hooping right now, because we're going to go really detailed on the next song. Core hooping, any way you want to core hoop right now, and I invite you to be blindfolded while doing it. Feel for the quadrants of the body, my two side points, my two center points. How does it feel? Sweet, Cameron. Where are we at now? Maybe I got notes for you this time. Okay. So this is kind of a big thing. This is, since we're going super geeky here, this is it. But this is what I did yesterday, and it really recentered me. And I do this a lot, but What I want you to do is what we're going to try to do is we're going to go back to our beginner hooper days when we had trouble just keeping the hoop up. And then once we got it to where we could just keep it up, then the hard part became moving our hands. In the My Damn Story, moving your hands, they refer to your hands as birds, just metaphorically, that they're birds. They're independent of each other, or they can sync up and fly together. And a foundation that we learn in beginning hooping that I like to stick with is working on your hand movement. I like to do this blindfolded, but is working on your hand movement by trying various, just common movements. So one that I like to do is the bring it all in. This is the bring it all in move. Now I know this is weird, but what's happening is you're creating these awesome movement complexities in your body right now because you're able to keep the hoop up, you're able to keep it at a speed, you're able to keep it at plane, and now you're able to keep your arms moving. Good. So then this would be the push away or the swimming type motion. And again, if you're in front of a lot of people, this might be kind of awkward, but now I recommend closing your eyes, and what I want you to do, I don't like to guide too much during this, but I want you to try and assert your arms in a movement that may not immediately seem like it affects the hoop. Like I could dart my hands, I could bring my hands in, hug, and I'm gonna do this blindfolded, unless you wanna do it, Ann. You wanna do this? Do you wanna try this? Okay. So this is what I'm trying to do, and I find this to be completely healing. I'll let Ann jump in. With what Ann's doing, it's especially difficult because she likes to use a rather small hoop. That's actually like a bigger version of some of the hoops that she normally uses. So for Ann to not have to wiggle as much, she's going to have to move her feet a lot. But what's interesting is to make your movement look more graceful, there's actually more movement to make it look graceful, if that makes sense. There are more harmonious micro movements happening to make something look graceful. Grace is the end result of strength applied, strength achieved. Nice, yeah. That invisible object we were manipulating in sway, I love to bring that in sometimes to a waist hoop. If you feel up for it, you can move the hoop to your shoulders and try to move the hands underneath the shoulders. You could move the hoop to your neck and work on moving the hands beneath the neck. But I want you to, if you can, to imagine that what you're doing is installing some pretty sophisticated circuitry into the way that your body moves. Because it's doing multiple activities at the same time, and it's doing them to a beat. That's nice, stall. Thank you, everybody, for jumping in tonight and joining us for however long you can. Nice. Good. Ann's hands being active captivate. They bring more of her body into the action. And And then even though we're not focused on what people see, it's quite beautiful to watch when someone's completely captivated in their movement. Good. Sweet. Thank you, Anne. Thank you, everybody. I hope you guys are still. I hope you guys are still with us. Okay, so this next exercise is definitely one that can kind of look weird to work on, as they all do, but again, open up a lot of things. And we're gonna start, and make sure I got my notes right on this one. Oh yeah, we're gonna start tonight, or for this next one, we're gonna work on, I don't know if we'll listen to the whole song, but this is a subtlety exercise. But to help us lock into it first, we're gonna take what I call moon steps, or just like sort of big, like either bottom of the ocean floor type steps, or, you know, like moon steps. Of course, I can't float off the ground, but what I want you to try and do is take big, like you were moving your arms slow and deliberately, or not super conspicuously with the hoop. I want you to move and take big steps. Right? Now force the action. Again, don't worry about it looking pretty. Force the action. Say, I want to bring one of my feet up, and I want to put it down. I want to bring the other one up. Maybe I want to kick or draw or whatever. But force that growth to happen. Good. And then what I want you to see if you can connect to, if you haven't already, is how when you come up, you're pushing the hoop. And when you come down, momentum is falling into the hoop. And I can do that almost continuously. And it helps me develop a type of flow and grace when I tune in to not just the step outward into the hoop, but the rising and lowering of it. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? And then, of course, if you want to, you can come up. If you're new to shoulder and being balanced on one or taking big steps, try mountain. Try keeping your hands out so your elbows are free of the body. Your elbows not touching the body. Good. This song's kind of crazy. It goes all over the place. Big steps. If you know how to head hoop, you can try this on the head. I don't know why. It's so hard for me to head hoop with this mic on. Not tonight. Big steps. If the hoop falls a bunch, that's fine. Good. If I'm at the waist and I come up on one, I want to wrap tightly my abs, wrap the hoop around my abs. Be big, be big. Something I was going to mention earlier that we could, nice Ann, that we could completely slip into here is working on your posture. You can imagine that the hoop is wrapping, strengthening twine around your spine. And that it's bracing it like you would tape an ankle. You're taping your spine with your hoop's rotation. And so you can try to imagine if you can. I don't have very good posture, so I'm bad to demo this. But I can imagine good posture. And the hoop is wrapping that posture. Good. Good. Hello, New York. And you're getting love. Okay. All right, guys, you're doing great. We're going to do a couple of minutes of some guided movement that was really helping me yesterday, and then we'll probably free hoop and get out of here. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. I'm going to throw the donate link up. It's just, it's there if you can. It means a lot if you do. Thank you. Okay, so I'm on the waist, and we're just going to do some guided flow. I think this will probably be at most 6 or 7 minutes. But this is super geeky, and this is definitely something that might take you a minute to find. I'm going to go blindfolded just so, well, no. So what we're going to work on right now are subtleties. I thought we'd work on them a little bit more before, but we're going to work on subtleties right now. And so if you can, try and locate a nice clean rotation going around. You're going to find that belt of contact. And try to make it as consistent as it can be. Just a thin belt of contact rather than a thick belt of contact. And this is probably where I'm going to lose half the crowd. But we're actually just going to focus on that belt of contact and how it affects us and affects our push. The first thing we're going to do is feel for movement of the hoop, feel maintaining that belt of contact with our feet as much as we can, our feet. If you've done this before, then you've probably got it, but if you haven't, it helps to put a little bend in the legs, just a little bit. Open the feet, and then let them sink down, and then imagine that every corner and surface of the foot is pushing. And I can use that contact to push the hoop around the waist. And I won't know, maybe I could tell if I was watching you, but mostly this is a mental thing. Good. Now, what I was doing yesterday underneath all of these exercises, go ahead and reverse it for me. Underneath all these exercises, I was imagining that strengthening wrap coming around me. So I was imagining myself after coming out of lockdown, seeing myself like healthy, not miserable that I have to go back. And so you can imagine that as you're wrapping, that what's being wrapped right now is your stronger frame. Then I can relax and try to create as much movement. Nice. If you don't have to stay with me if you don't want to, but now I'm going to create more of a belly dance type movement, or maybe loosen my legs. And now I'm kind of wrapping or rolling my spine. I don't know if you can see it because I'm not super flexible. But I'm kind of rolling underneath the hoop. I can still feel it in my feet, but my feet are definitely second to what's happening with my spine. Again, I'm wrapping the strong version of me. Good. Good. Reverse. Come up. Come up. We're going to work on taking slow steps into the hoop. Kind of an Ann Humphreys technique here. But what I'm doing is I'm stepping and I'm raising my arm into that step. Like as I step, you see how my arm comes up? And that helps me keep the hoop up and kind of create a nice sort of slack in it. If I start to lose it, you know, Ann was doing such a good job when she was shoulder hooping of going from stall to a current very quickly. But again, if I want to do this move, I start stepping, raising my hands up. Actually, I got into an angle there. You know, it's something that we don't always work on, but you can create a pretty cool little movement. If I'm going to the left with my hoop, if I take my left foot and place it behind my right foot and then turn off of that, I can get a nice cool turn sometimes. That's like pushing a hand into a foot to your night side. If I take my 6 a.m. leg or my lead leg and I turn back into night, then I'm doing cutting, and that's really difficult. Anna was doing some really cool 2-point stalls. Good. Stepping into the current, even if it doesn't look good or exciting, it teaches you so many, nicely, and it teaches you so many things about getting the hoop going again. Sweet. Y'all still with me? Yeah, I bet. Yeah, totally. There's a reason that hoopers don't wear very many clothes. It's just easier to hoop naked. Okay, the last thing that I wanted to open up for us, I was really thinking about it for shoulders, and then we'll just free hoop and call it a night. But we worked on this, the other shoulders, but this is a sort of, if I bring those balls, those spheres of contact that I was working with before, and imagine that, like, let's imagine even just that they're glowing or whatever, that image, that metaphor, that template can open up some really cool things with your hands while shoulder hooping. Hey, Debbie. So, like, this is me, like, or if I was trying to do just having the 2 points of contact, this would be if I was trying to move those sort of contact, like if I'm imagining I'm holding contact balls or something. And as I'm rolling those balls, this is what I really want you to feel. So I'm moving those back and forth. I'm internally and externally rotating. And this is one of those boring things to practice, but it can totally change your shoulder flow. If I turn my arms out or turn them in, out or in, that change, they never need to stay there. But me pretending is causing my arms to roll. If I'm in an angle, this is something we worked on before, but you know, drawing shapes, if I'm in sky here, drawing shapes or moving my hands can make sky look a lot less awkward. This is anti-spin. This is me if I'm playing with my crystal ball. This is Minority Report. Good. I love this track, right? That's nice. This is a mix. I think he's a sample. It's all 10-minute track. Thanks, everybody. This will be on Future Hero. Oh, sweet. Nice, Lauren. Glad you got something. You guys have been great. We'll go into a free hoop right after this. snuggle. Reverse. Put an action on my hands. This is kind of black belty stuff. This is kind of like pretty advanced stuff. But whatever it is, if I'm in earth, putting action on my hands. Nice. Sweet. Okay, guys, I realize we're running. Sweet, sweet. Thanks for showing up, guys. Okay, so this is going to be the free hoop song. Ann, do you want to take this one? You might like it. Thank you, everybody. This playlist will be up on SoundCloud right after class. Thank you, everybody. We will have class on Thursday. We will have class on Thursday. I don't really know the topic yet. Stay tuned. If you have a suggestion for a topic, let me know. If it's something I haven't already covered, I will. Nice. Great. If you ever want to see a replay, check out YouTube. The replays there are not muted. All the music shows up in good sound. The Facebook replays don't have music whenever there's a track that's been flagged. They let them stay up. There's no music. In the cradle. That's good. Thank you, everybody. This is going to be our last song. This one, actually, this one's going to be our last one. Thank you, everybody, for joining me. She is killing it, Lauren. You're very welcome. Sweet, Robbie. Thanks for being here. Amber. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for chiming in, sharing. Thank you. The phone's been going off a little bit tonight with donations. I really appreciate that, guys. Thank you. Next class will be Thursday, an intro class. If you have a request, let me know. I'm thinking legs, but I don't know. Shucks. Was almost. Exactly. Thank you, everybody, for being here. This is our free hoop. We're going to sign off after this. Yeah, that's a good one. It's a good one to end on. Blessings, everybody. Thank you so much. Before this stream ends, I'll post a link to the playlist for you. Thank you, everybody.